Yeah, I tried to get on the meeting yesterday and it wasn't happening.
Yeah, with the holiday.
No. I didn't recall that being discussed, but I'm sure it was.
It may have been something with the mayor changeover.
I tried to get on the meeting yesterday and it wasn't happening. No. Didn't recall that.
How are you guys doing, Ashley and Nate and Chief?
I have to start 2 o'clock Zoom, so I'll look at it and we'll get back to you. To make a plan. Great, thank you. Hello, how's everybody doing?
Doing good, Steve. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
I was not aware that there was a meeting of the Idaho Springs Marketing Association last week. Steve, did you attend that meeting?
I did. It was a good meeting. I don't know if Sadie's going to come on, but she represents the meeting pretty well. John Kane was in there and he was valuable. He had lots of good information for us in the meeting. I believe that the parking structure conversation moved forward positively a little bit, which is nice.
Okay, that's what I was most interested in.
Yeah.
I didn't see any notices on that. I must have missed them, but I'm sure I got something.
Yeah, they did have it streamed, or what do we call it, or
Yeah, Zoomed, whatever.
Zoomed. Uh-huh.
Oh, there's Dr. Ryan. Hi, Dr. Ryan. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Tim, when you're delivering 2 COVID updates within hours, are you tempted to just throw up the recording of the previous meeting?
No, George. I maintain a very high standard. I tried to anyway. No, 3 is when I get to that point, really. My threshold is 3.
So we'll ask you how you feel at about 2:30 on Wednesday, I guess.
Sorry, I can't hear out there.
Kind of looks like your beard's grayer than the last time you grew it out.
You know what, Steve? I don't really appreciate your observation. I think, I'm not going to put forth any speculation.
Mine is too.
I'm just happy it keeps growing, to be quite frank.
Good.
Especially this time of year, helps to keep the chin warm.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out a way to magnetize it and create it as a electrostatic to trap any virus that might be trying to enter my nose or mouth.
I think that could be very lucrative.
Yeah.
We'll get started in just a minute or two. I'm trying to reach the mayor. As far as I knew, he was planning to join us. All right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? Welcome, everybody, to the new year, first meeting of the year. And we are, I believe this is the first one of the year. Is it first one or second one, John?
Second.
Second meeting of the year. And Dr. Ryan is with us, and I know everyone is anxious to hear about the latest. So, and Dr. Ryan just gave an update this morning to the commissioners, and we'll provide another one tomorrow afternoon. So, Dr. Ryan, thanks for joining us, and we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, everyone, for joining. So we can just run through the numbers real quick and then answer any questions. Across the U.S., we've got 66 plus million cases, which is 6 plus million more than we had last week. That speaks to the rate of spread of this current variant, Omicron. Currently, we're experiencing about 801,000 cases per day as a 7-day average, which is the highest number we've ever seen during this entire pandemic. Hospitalizations following suit, we see a 5% increase in the 7-day average over the last week alone, and that is starting from a much higher point. Fatalities, we've lost 851,451 Americans. Current rate of death is almost 2,000 a day as a 7-day average at 1963. Test positivity across the country is at 25.4%. As you might imagine, contributing factors to the spread are the unvaccinated and Omicron. It's a winning combination for a virus. Less than 63% of America is fully vaccinated. Here in Colorado, similar trends. And these case numbers that I'm presenting to you are but a fraction of reality, primarily because of lack of testing. Individuals not even getting tested, they're just symptomatic, assuming they're positive, and others counting on home tests, which are generally not reported, even though they're supposed to be. So current number of daily cases here in this state of Colorado where we live, 11,550 per day as a 7-day average. Our 2-week cumulative incident rate here in the state is at 2938 per 100,000. The highest number it's ever been. Hospitalizations, 70% of those in the hospital are among the unvaccinated. 92% of ICU beds currently in use. Currently, there are roughly 1,700 individuals in the ICU across the entire state. Our 2-week test positivity rate here in this state is at 27.47%. Contributing factors to the spread here in this state are the unvaccinated and Omicron. Fully immunized, 71% of the population is fully immunized at 5 and above. So a little bit better than the national average. Here in Clark Creek County, we have not been, we right along with the state and national averages. So here in this county, we've had 100 cases in the last 7 days, although again, that's an undercount. 235 in the last 2 weeks alone, currently with 22 active cases. Hospitalizations have gone up significantly. The last time we spoke, I think we were in the low 50s, or I'm sorry, the low 40s. We're now at 54 individuals hospitalized to date with 10 fatalities. Our 2-week cumulative incident rate here in this county is 2,502 per 100,000. Test positivity at 30%. Contributing factors are the exact same as they are across the country. Testing updates, we're continue to test here in this county on Mondays in Georgetown, Tuesdays and Thursdays in Idaho Springs. And right now, COVID Check is able to test roughly 300 to 400 people per week at the test sites here in this county. Vaccine clinics, we have vaccine clinic every Wednesday as we have since the beginning of time, and will continue to do so. The vast majority of people that we're seeing, though, are getting their booster shots. Very few people are getting vaccinated for the first time, despite all of our efforts to get information out there in terms of the efficacy and safety of vaccines. Any questions so far on that set of data? So I was asked earlier today by one of the well-informed county commissioners about the endemacy of this pandemic and when we might shift from what is currently a worldwide pandemic to a state where COVID is an endemic nature. Kind of like the flu, where it doesn't completely disrupt society. Most people get vaccinated, others don't. Very few people end up dying. We're not quite there yet. Basically, the level of spread of Omicron obviously is rapidly spreading the virus across the country and across the world. And the hope is that when this ends, sort of we've got enough people who have been COVID positive and in combination with the vaccinated, that we might approach a level of herd immunity. That is, and Dr. Fauci said it the best, that is if we don't have another variant that is different enough that it doesn't really care that you've had a prior diagnosis or vaccinated. Now, that's the worst case scenario. of this entire thing. And I think if COVID has shown us anything, its ability to change is rapid. Omicron did in 3 weeks what it took Delta 9 weeks to do. And so we're now at a level of 800,000 plus cases, and it's in actuality probably close to 1.6 million, if I had to put an estimate down, of cases per day across the entire country. And this is a slow moving train, if you will, right? It's going to spread around the world in the same fashion it has spread across Europe and now the United States. The hope is that another variant doesn't come out of this mass caseload that we're seeing across this country and across the world. That's how the variants work, right? The more cases there are, the more greater potential there is for a new variant to evolve and then move on from there. So I don't think we're quite there yet. That's best case scenario, that, you know, we face a scorched earth in the next 4 to 6 weeks and we come out of it with everyone more or less vaccinated or infected. And then we can potentially move on if there isn't a new variant that is different enough than the others. Any questions, comments, concerns? So as you know, the biggest disruption right now is in staff. There is literally no industry that is exempt from this reality, including COVID Check Colorado, who's doing our testing, who has staff shortages regularly, as well as the state lab. So, you know, that's the biggest disruption right now, including the hospital system, which in some parts of the country is on the verge of collapsing because of the inundation of the emergency departments and ICUs.
All righty, any questions for Dr. Ryan? I think we're all getting kind of numb, Dr. Ryan, and I know that's, you probably feel that more than anybody, but it's.
Yes, indeed. I get it. Everyone's tired of this. The reality is the virus is not. So we don't really have a choice. We have to deal with it, you know, and doing the most basic common sense things that we know are effective. We do, in fact, know that masks do reduce the transmission of the virus. That is a fact-based. Those data points are on our website, and all the links to the real studies are on the website. I get sent regularly ideological and political perspectives that suggest otherwise, but that is not reality. Reality is masks work. The CDC recommends it. The Children's Hospital of Colorado recommends that every child under the or over the age of 3 wears a mask. And so it's really at this point combating misinformation. It's why 40% of our population is unvaccinated. The consumption of misinformation is absolutely staggering. It's what is most worrying to me, to be quite frank.
Dr. Ryan, have you met our newly elected mayor, Chuck Harmon?
We did meet once, yes. Chuck, welcome, congratulations. Kudos to you.
Hi, and thank you. And I've got to tell you, I really appreciate all your work, you know, especially as long as it's gone on. I mean, we're so happy to have you. And I just feel that we're very lucky to have someone with your expertise, particularly here in Clark Creek County.
I appreciate that, Chuck. Yeah, there's nobody that wants to talk about anything other than COVID more than I do. I'm on the opioid settlement regional task force with Commissioner Marlin there, and it was the first meeting I've had in a very long time that COVID was only mentioned once in the entire meeting, and that was by me, and how happy I was we weren't talking about COVID.
I can imagine.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. Ryan? All right, well, Dr. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us as you are normally here, and we thank you for continuing to to join us here in this group. It's really important to our city, and we thank you for that. We will be back on our regular Monday meeting in 2 weeks at 2 o'clock.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. All righty, Mayor, what we normally do is is go around the room unless you had anything you wanted to kick off with, but we normally go around the room and just see what everybody's hearing and seeing and experiencing, and share ideas. And John, I don't know if we had anything else on the agenda in particular, did we? We do?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Can you let us know what that is?
Yeah, we need to start having a conversation about summer activities of the marketplace.
Okay.
Not necessarily set a plan right this moment, but we do need to initiate that conversation.
Okay. All right. John or Jared, would you just give to kick us off, quick update on the new arrivals we just received?
Last week, we received 10 new planters for Minor Street for the marketplace operations for the businesses that want to use outdoor spaces. They have primarily been set up between 17th and 16th, and I think the businesses are pretty happy with what we've done so far. Those boxes are it's possible for us to trade those boxes out for another version of them if we decide we want more infrastructure associated with them, but there's heavy steel boxes and fully loaded. I think they weigh, Jared, like 1,200 pounds. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't believe they're fully loaded just
Sorry, I
yet,
think my
but
mic
that's
isn't working right.
yeah, they're intended to weigh about that much when fully loaded.
Can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah, much better.
So those, we have the system that we purchased is a Colorado company that produces those, and they have equipment in Arvada and in Golden and a lot of other places. And there's a lot of different options we can use with that equipment. I think that as Tekka is planning on putting out their tents from last year in them, and if other people are interested in looking at outdoor spaces along Minor Street, we can still do that. Through the winter. We need to figure out a barricade situation if we do that, though. We have the option to have a conversation with them to start talking about purchasing more equipment. And we'll probably schedule that for a little bit later this winter, once we kind of see how operations are going. And that's why I want to start this conversation about summertime operations and what we want to do at the marketplace, how we might want to iterate in spaces and maybe solve some of the problems that we know how we've had these last 2 years, specifically, Steve, as you had mentioned with servers and people crossing over the sidewalk and things like that. We've had some ideas and conversations about how we could solve for those issues. So that's something that we do need to start talking about. Jared, does that pretty much cover where we're at on those, or?
Yeah, I think that covers it. Pretty much, those planters are in use, and they'll probably be shifted around in summer operation, depending on what what conclusion we come to. But yeah, looking forward to seeing people dying outside, and looking forward to the marketplace in the future.
So one of the things we have to keep in mind between now and the summer operations, if any other businesses want to block off their areas for this to use the space outside, we would need to order more barriers. So we would need to, and there's some lead time with that, of course. The plastic barriers, which looked like construction barriers, and I guess they are. Nobody really is crazy about those, but those we can get fairly quickly. The metal ones have to be fabricated, and those take some time. So we can continue as we are for the rest of the until the summer. But what we do need to have some discussion soon about what changes we want to make to the summer operations. Remember, just a reminder that the city is planning to do some curb repair, particularly on the south side of the street, those 3 blocks downtown. And we're going to try to time that so it's like late April, early May. So there will be a few weeks in there where we'll have some construction activity going on. It'll be a little disruptive in that area, but of course the goal will be to try to get it done before we get into the really busy summer season. One other thing I might mention about downtown is the street lights. I know there have been a number of street lights that have been out for a period of time. Those street lights are owned by Excel Energy. And there's good news and bad news with that. The good news is they own them, they maintain them. The bad news is that we, as a city, don't always get the response or the timely service that we would like, or we might be able to do if we own them and put our own bulbs in. Several of them are damaged, and it's difficult, if not impossible, we're told, to get replacement parts. Those are double-headed luminaires. So some of them are missing parts, and I do think we're going to need to give serious consideration sooner rather than later to some different types of lights for downtown. And I know that's a big deal because in so many ways it provides safety, it's very important aesthetically, and it could be a very costly project as well. But I do think we probably need to be thinking about that sooner rather than later. And I just thought I would, I know we have bigger plans for Minor Street that have come out of the downtown master plan, but those are going to be at a big cost. And I'm thinking we might need to do lighting even before we do some of those other improvements. But over the, in the upcoming weeks and months, we can certainly be talking about that and prioritize what improvements we want to make downtown. All righty. Well, why don't we go ahead around the room? Let's see. Steve, what do you have on your mind?
Well, just to kind of report in for the numbers for the weekend. I did hear that Loveland had its record week of numbers, which is good. That reflected a little bit in our numbers. And I also heard that Winter Park had 17,000 skiers this weekend. So there was quite a bit of traffic. I think it was in a good way. It never looked like they were totally stopped. Didn't hear of any accidents, and our business reflected in it pretty well. We did good numbers, and of course, same struggles everybody's having with trying to keep staff healthy.
Uh-oh.
And one thing I bring up is everybody frozen?
You were for just a moment.
Okay.
Steve, about 10 seconds maybe.
Okay, I'm just going to bring up the same topic I brought up in the last ISMA meeting with interstate parking. Those people used to show up for these meetings once in a while, give us a report. It might be nice to hear something. We are struggling with communicating with customers, and a lot of them are disgruntled or can't figure out how to pay, and our staff is.
Interstate is here.
Interstate's here?
Yep, Ashley.
Yep, I'm here.
So then we had some issues last week, and the only information that we have to give to them is like a 4-page white paper looking thing that's pretty hard to communicate. Just looking for a better solution to get the information that customers need to park responsibly and not have a bad experience.
Steve, Interstate, we have a meeting coming up with Interstate and we can talk about that. I think that we do have pretty good information out there on the QR code and the website and everything. We've had in the past a little brochure that comes to the restaurant. Is that what you're looking for? Something to be in the restaurant?
Yep.
Okay.
Or, like I said, we talked about putting something in the window, like a transparent something on the window with a QR code. And we
you
were
guys had
having
one for a while in the summer, didn't you? Or did that never come to Tommyknockers?
I didn't see one. No.
Okay.
We had
I will talk to
Xerox
Ashley.
copy.
Yeah, we can come up with an interim solution, and then we can also, we're going to have a conversation about kind of permanent improvements we'd like to make to the signage in the parking facilities. And so we will make sure you're aware of what's happening there and have some feedback opportunities, but I'll figure out something to get you a QR code and basic information in the interim.
Thank you.
Ashley, can you touch base with me later today? Can we talk about that by email maybe, or?
Yep, absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right, anything else, Steve?
Well, after everybody goes around, when it's Ashley's turn, it'd be good to hear the numbers. Like it was sometimes it's nice to hear what parking lots are being used and what the numbers and the turns are. And there's a little report they give us once in a while, which is nice to hear.
Ashley, are you in a position now to give a little update? Or do you want to do that later?
I'm seeing what I can pull up real quick.
Okay, thanks. All righty, we'll keep going around. Maybe we can come back to that a little bit later in the meeting here. Steve, anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Chip.
Well, I'm obviously not there, so I don't have a whole lot on a personal basis. Again, I can see our numbers were a little bit better this weekend. It's again still challenges keeping things all going and stuff with limited staffing and people being sick, calling in sick all the time. So that makes things definitely challenging. Jonathan, I'm really glad that you brought up the thing about starting to make plans and talking about what the Minor Street Market's going to look like next summer. I think that's something that we definitely have to be getting on top of ASAP, so we know what it's going to look like. You had mentioned something about, again, down in Arvada, they've got, the outside dining spaces for the restaurants are contingent. They utilize their sidewalk too, and that just makes it a whole lot easier. So if there's some way to be able to do something along those lines. But I think we definitely have got to be putting our heads together to figure out what it's going to look like for the summer. It's going to take a while to make that happen.
All right. Just to help me keep straight, I'm going to go right across my screen here and call on everybody who's present if you have anything to update the group on. George?
Yeah, one thing in particular that I want to mention, there is a tax credit that's available to families that's worth like up to $15,000 per family. We discovered in the state of Colorado, only 30% of eligible families filled out the form to get that free money last year. And so there is an organization I was connected to that I was able to connect the library district to, thanks to Libby Kaplan for committing some resources that will have free volunteer tax assistance for people, so people can just show up and get help getting their taxes filled out, make sure they're getting all the right credits. And I know a lot of the employers here, you may have some families who are in your employ who could use this service. It hasn't all been formed up. I don't know the dates or anything, but very grateful to the library district for doing that. And very motivated to try to make sure that amounts to 60 families in Clear Creek that could get a little bit more money in their taxes this year. So I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And then on the recovery front, you all know that we have lost Alyssa. We're having a conversation about whether we need a recovery manager or whether it's time to think about those functions that she filled and where else they fit. Maybe we want to try to beef up what we're doing in behavioral health recovery. And then if we look at the rest of it as kind of economic development, maybe we think about a housing position or something, just how to kind of devolve what she was doing into different positions. Welcome your thoughts on that. I know you all interacted with Alyssa a lot. Feel free to reach out to me and share your thoughts. And that's about all.
Okay, thanks, sir. Dan Ebert?
I really don't have anything to add, so go ahead and move on.
Thanks, sir. Jonah?
All right. So this week we actually, I got report from our GC that we got the permit issued. He got everything in there. Wander's non-eater head. So we are fantastic. So, and actually today's Tuesday. So he's in there formally today, finishing some of the clean out work that's happening. But over the next week here, we'll start seeing lumber and wood and all that stuff starting to go into the club hotel. So we will beginning finally the actual reconstruction process as part of their whole renovation project. We anticipate that's going to be about a 5-month project, which is ambitious, but it's a team of 5 people running through all the trades pretty much on site. They'll be living in Idaho Springs during this time. So it allows us to kind of stay on schedule, even if weather gets a little rough at times. So very excited about that, and very happy to finally be making some forward progress here.
That's a big step. Congratulations.
Yep.
The next phase.
Absolutely. You're going the right direction.
You got it.
All righty. Thank you, Jonah. Stephanie?
There we go. We just had a great weekend, really strong, and kind of just continuing on with what Steve said. It was good.
Glad to hear it. How did Monday compare with the other 2 days, just in the long holiday weekend? I'm just curious.
Monday was hard. It was hard because it was busy. A little bit less than the other 2 days, but still, just right from the moment that we opened the doors, it was like, bam. And then kind of tapered off in the evening, as expected.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, thank you. Lindsay.
Hi, everybody. Just reiterating what everyone else has said. It was a great weekend. I was up at Loveland yesterday, and it was a gorgeous, gorgeous day. So it doesn't surprise me that everyone was busy, had a lot of ski traffic. So yeah, we're really happy. And just again, anyone that or yourself, if you're interested, CCDC does have loan funds. So we're happy to speak with you. We do have the emergency COVID fund still available. And then, of course, we have our traditional loan programs as well.
All right, very good. Let's see. Carla, any update you have?
I'll give you an update on Block 57. So we had some development changes that occurred. So we set back our entitlement for final development plan by 2 weeks, I think. So we are submitting starting our submittal process, and we will be in front of Planning Commission and council for the second council reading in March, basically. And we will be submitting the draft tomorrow to Jared.
Very good. Thank you. All righty. Let me just ask, is there anyone else in the group that would like to give an update? Any other updates? All right. Mayor, you have any closing thoughts before we break?
Yeah, just a tale of caution. Learn from my mistake and get your booster. I procrastinated for 2 months getting the booster, and I have had a horrible last 7 days with COVID, and I'm sure it would have gone much smoother had I got the booster. So I'm just saying I messed up, and please learn from my mistake.
And one thing I can say to that is we're really fortunate in Clear Creek County to have a clinic right here close by. My experience, I know some of our staff and others I've heard from, it's been a very, I guess, a pleasant experience, meaning it's been easy to get in, get out. The staff has been courteous, and it's you know, you go a lot of other places in the state or the metro area and you're waiting in long lines, and it can be very tedious and not a pleasant process. So I think it's the booster shots are available, the main shots are available, testing's available. It's all about as easy as it can be in this type of environment. So yes,
Andy,
Carl.
I really want to thank you for taking the time to say that, Andy. I know a ton of people put years worth of work into getting that building there, and having it, just seeing, because we're in a pandemic, that what it's able to do for our community is fantastic. I know a bunch of people on this screen helped out, so thank you.
Absolutely. Carla? Oh, we can't hear you, Carla.
On that note, and a somewhat separate topic, I'm curious because we recently had 2 incidents in my household where we needed urgent care for different reasons, either urgent care and another situation where we needed to get some lab testing done that was not COVID, and the clinic was not at all useful to us under those 2 circumstances. And so I'm curious, and I was very frustrated, especially knowing how hard and how wonderful the clinic is supposedly for our community. I'm curious if there is some push or someone somewhere who's looking to try to get an urgent care of some sort up here. 20 years ago there was one, and I don't know when the last time there was one, honestly, but the closest one is in Golden, is from what our experience was, and there's no way to get just general blood testing done up here either, from what I was able to surmise in the last 2 months. So I'm curious, I guess I'm curious just how useful the new clinic can be for us as a community going forward. And I don't mean that to be ugly or mean. I'm trying to plant the seed of how can we make it even better for everyone.
Yeah, sure. I know that one of the things that happened in the last 20 years is the standards for urgent care to be able to drop someone off have changed a lot.
Sure.
And I don't remember all of the details of the conversation for why Centura chose not to do an urgent care. I do know that they were the only people who responded to an RFP asking who wanted to come and provide primary care in our community. And Carla, I embrace your comment, because in this world, we get to make improvements and we never get to make things perfect. And it's nice to always know what the next goal is.
Thanks, George.
All righty. Anything else before we close? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Stay safe, and we will see you in a couple weeks, if not before. Thank you,
everyone.